Welcome to Pumpkin Spice Podcast. I'm back again with my good pal, Brittany. Hi. Hey, Brittany.
Hey, Robert. Why did I call you Robert? I was so thrown off that you called my name that I was like, Robert.
I gotta say it back at you. Let's keep this intro short. We have a
no
new
more
TV.
tangents. Got it.
No, got it. You know me. I'm all down to business. Okay, tangent one. Have you got your Halloween costume picked out?
Kind of. I mean, mentally, but not physically. How about you?
No. I've been growing facial hair for about a month, just in case.
Just in case what?
I don't know. Maybe I'll get a wild hair to become like Paul Bunyan or something.
That would be cool.
If I could only find a blue ox.
Yeah.
Question about Paul Bunyan. Was Babe the Blue Ox also gigantic?
Yeah. Doy.
Okay. Well, I
He's
didn't
not
know.
hanging out with a regular size ox.
Okay, more on Halloween costumes and Paul Bunyan in a future episode. How about that?
Mm-hmm.
Brittany, we have a new podcast coming out in mere weeks.
I'm counting down the days.
The TV show.
The TV show. I can't wait.
10 episodes, 10 weeks of pure enjoyment. I had so much fun, and we should leave them with a clip after this episode.
I'm down.
So now let's get into this week's episode of Pumpkin Spice Podcast, where we watched The Curse of Chucky. Or is it just Curse of Chucky? Whatever.
It's all the same if you think about it.
Chucky, I'll always be your very bestest friend. You know, pals are hard to come by, but you'll find.
Okay, welcome to Pumpkin Spice Podcast. I'm Graham, and as always, I'm here with
Hey, Rob Schulte.
Rob. We're here to talk about the sequel to Seed of Chucky, Curse of Chucky,
Wow, what an incredible film from start to finish.
from 2013, so not too long ago.
Yeah.
And let me just start off by saying that before we get into any of the basic details of the film, I want to say that I enjoyed most of this film, and I think Don Mancini, like his growth as a filmmaker from Seed of Chucky to Curse of Chucky is amazing. Like,
Yeah.
isn't it? I mean, it's like Don. If you're listening to this, like it's just
Save all thoughts till the end of we have one more film. He could really shit the bed next week.
Maybe we shouldn't speak too soon, but again, the growth that I witnessed.
That speaks for itself.
I will go ahead and maybe add a new category here, Rob, that Pumpkin Spice Podcast Most Improved Player, Don Mancini.
Don, getting it.
Who's it from?
It doesn't say.
You found him.
Chucky's my friend till the end. Hey, wanna play? Can't we sleep in with you tonight?
It's only a storm. Good night, baby. Sweet dreams.
Don't forget Chucky.
It's a doll. What's the worst that can happen, huh?
It's time to play.
It became apparent to me while watching Curse of Chucky that Don Mancini may be a big fan of The Innocents, this horror film from 1961. And
Oh, yeah.
so
They remade that too, didn't they?
I'm not sure if
Maybe they didn't remake it, but that's based off of a play, I think, that I read in college.
I believe you're correct. And
I might have even brought this up on the podcast before.
It's fantastic. And again, I think that Dawn might be a fan of this film. So Dawn, if you're listening, I would love to pick your brain about what the inspirations for Curse of Chucky.
This came out 9 years after Seed of Chucky, so he probably had a lot of time to reflect.
Yes. I mean, again,
I got a question for you though, Graham. I got a question.
Okay.
What changed from Seed of Chucky to Curse of Chucky? Like, obviously time, but why was Bride and Seed of Chucky so much different than this film?
I think a lot of Seed of Chucky and Bride of Chucky were sort of played for laughs, where in Curse of Chucky, Don Mancini, and again, this is not a perfect film, but it's good. You'll have a good time watching it. He develops a real mood and atmosphere. It seems like he's paying homage to different horror films of the past. Again, there's a real sort of tension and dread that exists in this film, where the other films were just like, okay, let's get to the kills and the nudity or whatever. I guess there's only nudity in one film, though, right?
So far.
Yeah, and that was Seed of Chucky, just to be clear.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm still trying to get over Seed of Chucky.
Just exactly what are you trying to say?
Again, I'm calling it, people. It's a Hot Topic movie. If you're into those things, that's cool. I personally am not. But Rob, I'm interested in your take on Curse of Chucky and also why you like it better than Seed of Chucky.
Right off the bat, yeah, not perfect. A lot of things I can be negative about. But that's every horror movie. This one was great just because it was such a break from what we've become used to with this series. Like,
not every horror film.
Every horror film has its parts that are a little odd.
No, you can't generalize.
Every film.
No, you can't generalize the entire horror genre. There are great masterworks.
I'm generalizing
that are
all films. All
that?
films have parts that are not necessarily as enjoyable as other parts within the film.
You don't think a perfect film exists?
No, I don't think. I mean, I haven't seen one.
I could name like 100.
I don't think I've seen a perfect film. I've seen films that I love and films that I like, but I still think that there's like always a moment where something. I don't think I've ever seen a movie where I haven't thought about what time it is.
Really?
And at some point in any movie, if I'm like, I wonder how long I've sat here, I'm like, they lost me for that moment.
Wow.
And I would say a perfect film is like when you are not taken away or out of the moment at all.
You come from a theater background, Rob. Do you think that there is such a thing as a perfect play?
Oh, plays are even worse. No. Pretty much every single play I've ever seen has been not as good as the people on stage think it is.
This is a good play, too. It's like an Arthur Miller play, but it's much slower.
So when I make my film, Rob, and I invite you to the screening, I think it will be a lot like Amadeus, where everybody's watching the king to see when he yawns. And if you get 3 yawns during a screening, that means that your movie didn't make it, you know?
Do I get to fart on a piano?
Please.
Okay.
But no, it actually saddens me that you haven't found a film that you thought was just you could watch it just over and over and over again and get total like enjoyment out of each viewing.
Well, I mean I'm sure those exist, but I still probably don't think those films are perfect. I don't know. I'm much more of a casual watcher than you, too. So maybe I just need to be educated, Graham.
Well, I'm just so curious. Well, okay, I know that we're kind of going off into another path right here, but let me just close this by asking, what's the closest film that you've watched that's come to perfection? Like,
oh, dude, I don't know. I couldn't answer that right now.
Okay, we'll just say Curse of Chucky. For sake of
closest
argument,
thing to perfection
is Curse
right
of
there.
Chucky.
That or Boogie Nights.
Yeah, but Rob, I want you to maybe lead us into our cast because Curse of Chucky kind of works as a father-daughter movie.
It does, considering Brad Dourif's biological daughter is the lead of this film.
Yeah, and I just want to say, like, I think Brad Dourif is, like, I always thought he was a cool guy, but now, like, I have a new fond.
Now, you think he's a cool guy because of, like, long hair and...
The long hair helps, but also working with Milos Forman in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. See, I'm tying that back with Amadeus.
Being almost a Tommy Wiseau figure.
Hi, doggy. You're my favorite customer.
The wig was a little out there, and we'll get to the
film.
We'll get to Brad Dourif's cameo in this film here in a second. But you
were talking about Fiona Dourif.
Yeah, I do want to say I thought she was great. I
incredible.
I think the Dourifs are just darn good actors. And again, I just wanted to say I always thought Brad was cool. Now I have a newfound respect for him as a father because, screw that whole, like, take your daughter to work day. He's like, hey, Fiona, you want to make a Chucky movie together? And she's just like, yeah, cool. And I thought she was great in the film, and I just think it's cool that they made a Chucky film together. I guess that's the point I'm trying to make, Rob.
What did you think was going to happen in this movie as you were watching it? Like, as you were starting to form, I see where this is going. What did you think this film was going to be while watching?
I really didn't know what to expect, and I went into this movie cold.
Same.
And I remember my initial thoughts watching the film was that it was a shame that this never was released in theaters. Because for probably a film that doesn't have a large budget, the production values look great. And again, Don Mancini is developing a style that I think let's just say it's more cinematic than Seed of Chucky. He's developing a real style is what I'm trying to say.
Time to pull the fucking plug.
So you never actually killed Andy Barclay, did you?
If you are a fan of the Chucky series, like you watched the first one, but you haven't seen any others, and you're wondering which one to watch after the first one, which ones to skip, if you really just want to watch the best of the best, watch 1 and watch 6.
You should probably watch 1, 2, and then 6.
Oh, if you're going to watch 2, then you have to watch 3, because 3 is the one with the gun and the kids.
Story-wise, like the whole point of this is, if we're talking storyline, you watch 1, you watch 2, and then you watch Curse. Because the foster sister pictures, all of that sort of stuff comes in at the end. If this film would have not been straight to Netflix and Blu-ray, that it would have come out alongside Don John. You remember that film from 2003?
13 with Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yep.
Okay,
as well as Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 2. Graham, I went to see Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs Part 2, and I was completely lost because I had not seen Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs Part 1.
Oh, so were you confused?
Yeah, it was much like when I saw Breakin' 2.
Well, September 25th is my birthday, so if I had to choose what would be the...
Well, it was September 24th, right?
September 24th.
No, Don John was 27, so whatever, that week that this came out.
Okay. But I would have much preferred to watch Curse of Chucky instead of Don John or Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. I'm sure they're fine films, but maybe just not much. And by no means is Curse of Chucky a great movie. It's a good movie. It's just such a step up from Seed of Chucky. That's probably why I'm praising it so much.
Well, here, how about I read the fresh off the Internet Movie Database storyline. This storyline written by a guy named Sean. And if you're wondering, Graham, that's SHAWN.
Gotcha.
Sean says, after the events of Seed of Chucky, Nika, a young woman forced to a wheelchair since birth, has to regroup her sister Barb and her brother-in-law Ian for a funeral after the death of her mother. While dealing with Barb, Ian, along with their 5-year-old daughter Alice, Nika receives an odd package, a creepy doll. After people start showing up dead, the fearless Nika soon suspects that the creepy doll is much more than just a doll. Here's my thing, Graham.
Sure.
They had the perfect opportunity to make this like Child's Play 1 where you don't know, like the thing we keep coming back to.
Yeah.
Is it the doll doing this? And then the moment that they have a chance to really make that pay off, in one of the best scenes, I think, in the movie, the dinner scene.
Oh, yes, it's fantastic.
They show the doll arm putting the rat poison in the food. You didn't have to do that. But that sequence, though, of the dinner going to the table and then, like, rotating from above like it's like a barrel of a gun.
Yeah,
right?
Your overhead 360-degree shot over the dinner table is, it's a little mini Brian De Palma, you know?
But they tried to make us, like, have a mystery of who's going to die. And it's like, could it be any of these main family members or the priest that's here out of nowhere?
I think the scene still works to effect, but yeah, you're right. I mean, ultimately we know it's him that's going to get it. And boy, does he get it. And that's one of my complaints with the film, is that I think that the kills are over the top and don't fit the mood that Dawn has set for the rest of the film. You know?
Yeah, why did we need to have the priest die in a car wreck?
Well, I'm fine with that. Here's the thing. So the priest is in a horrible car accident and his head is sort of through the roof of the car. And they need the jaws of life to save him. And they take the hood of the car off him, and you just see blood running down his neck. And if you would have cut there, it would have been a really effective scene. But what they did instead was have his head fall off and blood squirt everywhere. And it takes away from that tension that was built.
Much like later when the Ian character, the dad, dies and they shoot off his jaw or whatever. It's like, well, we didn't need to go to that scene. He could have just died.
Yeah, and these are very fixable things, because I would have just, right when he's about to kill Ian, cut away, because what happens after that is Chucky takes an axe and puts it through Fiona Doreff's leg. What's her character's name in the film? I can't remember.
Nika.
And it's important to point out that Nika is paralyzed from the waist down. So she's in a wheelchair and she can't feel that axe in her leg, and she has to take the axe out of her leg and kill Chucky with it. And if they would have just cut away from Ian's death and focused more on Nika in that scene, I think it would have been a better payoff.
Sure, there's a lot of missed opportunities in this one.
Good guy dolls were all the rage back in the 80s. My brother even had one.
So we basically have the sister rivals, the Chucky doll running around, some miscellaneous characters like the babysitter, love interest.
That was a little bit of a stretch, but it was fun.
But it was an extra body to kill, right? But so we have all this family dynamic, throw Chucky into it, and then you realize that it's an even bigger family dynamic because Brad Dourif had kidnapped Nika's sister.
No.
Well, both, their mother.
Yeah.
When she was pregnant with Barb, Nika's sister, and wanted to create the family through kidnapping, but he was also a family friend, and he looked like Tommy Wiseau.
Anything for my princess.
Yeah, that's when the movie goes off the rails, and it's a shame because last 15 minutes of the film, it's revealed that Brad Dourif, while he was still a human being, killed Nika's father, and then kidnapped her mother while she was pregnant with Nika and her older sister, and wants to have like this weirdo family thing. It's odd. Anyway,
while at the same time practicing voodoo, being a serial killer on the side, and hanging out with the evil other cohort from the first movie that blows up in the house.
Yeah. So the mother is kidnapped and she is pregnant with Nika. And the cops pull up to the house. Charles Lee Ray is furious with the mother. So he stabs this pregnant woman and makes the baby Nika paralyzed, which is borderline tasteless. And
it's like, it reminds me of like the X-Men comics where they were like, you know what? We've made Magneto too nice of a guy. We're making our fans side with the enemies, so we need to bring in a new storyline that reminds us how evil this character is. But they like totally missed the mark. They made it too evil. Like, we knew he was a killer and they said serial killer, but he was like to me, I always pictured him as like a petty crook doing what he had to do to but like not afraid to kill.
Never in the history of Charles Lee Ray was it even hinted that he wanted a family, that he loved this woman that was married to this other dude and had children with him. Like it made no sense.
The retcon doesn't work.
Yeah. So again, this is not a perfect film, folks, but it is a step in the right direction. But yeah, the last 15 minutes will have you scratching your head. There are some nice sort of tie-ins with the first film, but again, it's really in the service of nothing. It's bizarre.
Totally worth a watch, though, wouldn't you say?
If you liked the first film...
Graham, let me actually set up a scene for you, if you don't mind. It's Friday. You're at work. Okay, and you're like, oh, yeah, I'm so excited for the weekend. And, you know, Joaquin from accounting comes over, and he's like, hey, Graham, I think I'm going to stay in this weekend. I think I'm going to probably watch a movie. I'm into something scary. What do you suggest?
Curse of Chucky, which would be the 6th in the series. Joaquin.
Now, do I need to have watched any of the others? Well, I've seen one. I've seen two.
Yeah, if you're into Brad Dourif wearing Tommy Wiseau-esque wigs and kidnapping of pregnant women, Curse of Chucky is going to be the film that you'll be talking about all week. I'll give it a week, I guess.
Great, because I was getting pretty tired of that Jennifer Tilly character.
Okay, so yeah, I guess we're talking about the ending of the very ending of the film. There's a post-credit scene.
But before the post-credit scene,
right.
You think this film is going to end, Graham, and then they give us a scene of Jennifer Tilly at the post office.
Yeah.
Well, they don't even that. We get a scene of Jennifer Tilly killing a cop who's trying to smuggle out Chucky, and then we get another scene of her taking Chucky to the post office.
So, who's next?
One of the very last shots of Curse of Chucky is Chucky trying to take over Alice, the little girl from the movie. And I guess that didn't work out too well for Chucky, because in the post-credit sequence, Rob, we have
Chucky being delivered to Andy Barkley as an adult, his apartment in California, I'm assuming, where as Andy's doing something else, you see a knife cutting through the box, Chucky getting out to, claim his kill that he's been always waiting for, and as he turns around, bam, Andy's waiting with a shotgun. Cut to black, and we hear a boom. Now, we're left with an open ending, kind of. And I guess we'll only know where that's going to be next week when we watch Cult of Chucky.
I'm scared.
Something towards the end of every episode we like to do is I like to read a review from the Internet Movie Database, much like the Internet Movie Database storyline. And I don't know if you've noticed, Graham, but these have gotten too long for the movies that they are. So I was not going to read the 2 pages of the IMDb review, but I chose a choice segment. Are you ready for this?
Sure.
Curse of Chucky goes places unexpected for a 5th sequel, and it betters any of the films that preceded it in the series. Chucky is meaner, nastier, and more patient, which allows for better horror. A solid story, one with flashback ties that support Chucky's choice of family terrorizing and some after the credit scenes that tie in the rest of the series, complements the action, and sets the stage for what we hope is the continuation of the franchise. Maybe I missed something in the rest of that 2-page IMDb review, but it seems like that person just wanted to write something because they wanted this film to be better than it was.
Sure, but didn't we all? But we'll see how the franchise, the continuation of the franchise works out next week when we talk about Cult of Chucky, the final film in our October series.
Woo! It's been a wild ride. As everyone knows, they can leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. It's the best way to move us up in the rankings. We really appreciate it. I know we're at the end of this season, but you know what? We gave you a summer series this year, and we gave you a third season of Pumpkin Spice Podcast. Graham, it's been fantastic.
And stay tuned for some possible Christmas horror films coming down the pipeline.
We love it. Okay, Graham, I know you've got a big production meeting for your awesome film, so I'll let you go.
All right, talk to you soon, Rob. We'll talk Cult of Chucky next week. Rob, until next time.
I see you laughing, you think it's funny. Well, I'll show you who's the real dummy. C-H-U-C-K, why don't you come out and play? Listen up, fool, I'll tell you why. 'Cause Chucky's bad, that ain't no lie. C-H-U-C-K, why don't you come out and play? Over in the corner, peekaboo. Honey, honey, ha, ha, I see you. C-H-U-C-K.
And now a clip from the TV show Show.
The problem is all the women who don't get my jokes. There's no way that it's actually my jokes that are the problem.
Let's go to the leaderboard on that one. How many jokes did Joey make that are actually just